You're banned from tomorrow's defense presentation. This project belongs to me now.
Then you'd better explain why the entire $400 million contract becomes federal fraud without me.
The new CEO stole 8 months of my engineering work, erased my name, and banned me from the biggest defense meeting of the year. He thought my empty chair would make him look powerful. He did not know it could expose his fraud and stop the entire contract. Hello, my name is Evelyn Carter, and for 12 years, I designed systems that were supposed to protect American soldiers. I never expected that the most dangerous threat to my career would come from inside my own company. It began at 16:20 on a Monday evening in Arlington, Virginia. Most of the office had already gone home. Rain tapped against the windows, and the cleaning crew was moving quietly through the hallway. I was still at my desk, checking the final test results for Project Sentinel. Sentinel was a portable defense system that could detect small hostile drones near military bases. It did not shoot anything down. It identified threats, separated real aircraft from harmless objects, and gave commanders a few extra seconds to react. Those seconds could save lives. For 8 months, my team and I had worked nights, weekends, and holidays to make it reliable. I had written the core detection logic, directed the field tests, and personally signed every technical report sent to the Federal Review Panel. The next morning, we were scheduled to present Sentinel to officials from a major defense agency. If we succeeded, our company could win a contract worth nearly $400 million. At 16:23, my office door opened. Our new CEO, Grant Mercer, walked in without knocking. Grant had joined Halcyon Defense Systems only 6 weeks earlier. He was tall, polished, and always dressed as if a camera might appear at any moment. He knew how to impress investors, but during technical meetings, he confused basic terms and covered his mistakes by speaking louder. He placed a black presentation folder on my desk. "You won't be at tomorrow's federal defense presentation," he said. At first, I thought I had misunderstood him. "Excuse me, the room is limited to executive leadership. I'll handle the presentation." I opened the folder. My name had disappeared from the title page. His name appeared on every slide. Mine appeared nowhere. "You put your name on my engineering work." A Grant gave me a small smile. "You are an employee. The company owns what you produce. The company owns the product," I said. "That does not make you its inventor." His smile vanished. "Be careful, Evelyn. People who cannot support new leadership often discover that the company has moved beyond them." Then he leaned closer and lowered his voice. "Tomorrow is too important to let an engineer confuse the room with unnecessary details." He took the folder and walked away. I did not chase him. I did not shout. I simply opened the locked drawer beside my desk and removed a red notebook. Inside it, I had recorded every design review, every test failure, every correction, and every approval connected to Sentinel. That habit came from my father, a retired Air Force mechanic. He used to tell me, "If it matters, write it down. Memory can be challenged. A record can be examined." A Grant believed he had taken my presentation. What he had actually taken was responsibility for everything written inside it, and some of it was not ready to be claimed. 3 weeks earlier, our final desert test had revealed a rare software fault. Under normal conditions, Sentinel worked almost perfectly, but when 2 specific radar signals overlapped during a network delay, the system could label a friendly training drone as an unknown threat. My team had created a correction, but federal rules required one more witnessed verification before anyone could describe the system as operationally validated. That verification was scheduled for Thursday, yet Grant's presentation claimed the system was already fully validated. Even worse, the proposal listed me as the principal systems engineer and named me as essential personnel. Under the solicitation rules, removing me without prior notice was not a minor staffing decision. It was a material change that had to be disclosed to the contracting officer. Grant had erased me from the slides, but he had left my credentials in the official proposal because the agency had awarded crucial technical points based on my experience. He wanted my reputation in the paperwork and his face on the stage. He could not legally have both. I checked the document history on the secure project server. At 5:48 that afternoon, Grant's executive assistant had uploaded a new presentation. The file claimed successful completion of tests that had not yet occurred. I saved the audit record through the company's approved compliance system. I did not copy classified material, and I did not take proprietary files home. I preserved only the access logs and records I was authorized to retain. Then I sent one short email to Grant, our general counsel, and the chair of the board's audit committee. Please confirm in writing that I have been removed from tomorrow's presentation, and that Mr. Mercer will present the technical validation results without me. A Grant replied 4 minutes later, confirmed. Your attendance is neither requested nor authorized. That sentence became the first nail in his career. At 7:05, my phone rang. It was Maya Chen, our director of compliance. She said quietly, "Where are you?" "Still in my office. Do not leave yet." 10 minutes later, Maya entered and closed the door. She had a printed copy of Grant's slides in her hand. "Did you approve these validation statements?" she asked. "No." "Did your team complete the final witness test?" "No." "It is scheduled for Thursday." Her face tightened. "Then this is not a disagreement over credit. This could be a false statement in a federal procurement." I nodded. "I know." Maya asked me to explain the flaw. I gave her the plainest version I could. Sentinel is promising, but it has one unresolved edge case. We know how to correct it. We have not yet proved the correction under the required conditions. Could it endanger anyone tomorrow? The meeting itself? No. But if the agency relies on false test results, buys the system, and deploys it too early, the consequences could be serious. Maya sat across from me. Grant told the board this afternoon that Sentinel was his rescue plan for the company. Our revenue is lower than investors were told. If this contract is delayed, the truth may come out. That was the first mystery solved. Grant was not stealing my work merely for attention. He needed the contract to hide a financial crisis. Maya opened her laptop and showed me an internal approval request. Grant had ordered the finance department to count a large part of the unsigned contract as expected revenue in a confidential lender presentation. He was using a deal we had not won and test results we had not completed to keep the company's banks calm. "What do we do?" I asked. "We follow the law, preserve the evidence, and give him one chance to correct the record." At 8:10 that night, General Counsel called an emergency video meeting. Grant joined from the back seat of a car. He looked irritated, not worried. The lawyer explained that the slides had to be corrected, my removal had to be disclosed, and the agency needed to know that final validation was pending. Grant laughed. "You people are panicking over technical language. Everyone markets aggressively." I said, "Calling an unfinished test complete is not aggressive marketing." He turned toward the camera. "Your problem, Evelyn, is that you think being the smartest person in the room gives you authority. It does not. I am the CEO, and physics does not report to you." For several seconds, Grant's jaw tightened. "The presentation proceeds as written. Evelyn stays home. Anyone who interferes will be terminated." Then he disconnected. General Counsel looked exhausted. Maya looked furious. The betrayal still hurt, but it had changed shape. This was no longer about my pride. It was about protecting the truth before someone built a decision on a lie. Maya activated the company's formal reporting process and contacted the audit committee. General Counsel notified the federal contracting officer that a material personnel and validation issue had arisen. Then we waited. At 7:40 the next morning, Grant arrived at the Federal Conference Center with 2 vice presidents and a polished model of Sentinel. I was at home in my kitchen, wearing jeans and drinking coffee. At 8:03, I received a message from one of my engineers. "He is using your opening story about the Fort Latham test." Grant was not only showing my slides, he was repeating my personal account of the night our prototype first detected a drone hidden in heavy rain. At 8:17, another message arrived. "The panel is asking why you are not here." At 8:21, my phone rang. The caller introduced herself as Colonel Rebecca Shaw, the government's technical evaluation chair. Emmons. Carter, were you aware that you are identified in the official proposal as principal systems engineer and primary technical presenter? Yes. Colonel. Did you authorize Mr. Mercer to certify completion of the final validation event? No, Mom. That event has not occurred. There was a pause. Can you join a secure video session? Wes. 5 minutes later, I appeared on a screen inside the conference room. Grant stood at the front beside a slide carrying his name. Around the table sat contracting officials, military engineers, legal advisors, and security specialists. His face went pale when he saw me. Colonel Shaw spoke first. Mr. Mercer told us Ms. Carter was absent because of a medical emergency. The room became completely still. I looked directly into the camera. I am not ill. Mr. Mercer informed me in writing that my attendance was neither requested nor authorized. The colonel asked, "Do you have that communication?" Wes. Maya had already provided it through the proper legal channel. Grant interrupted. "This is an internal personnel matter. Evelyn is a disgruntled employee." Colonel Shaw did not raise her voice. "Mr. Mercer, your company used Ms. Carter's qualifications as a key part of its proposal. Her status is therefore our concern. Also, slide 32 states that final witness verification was completed last Friday. Is that statement accurate?" Grant glanced at the screen. I knew that slide well. It had originally said, "Final witness verification scheduled." Someone had removed the last word and changed the sentence to past tense. Grant swallowed. My technical staff told me it was complete. Colonel Shaw turned to me. "Ms. Carter, that is false. I informed Mr. Mercer last night, during a recorded meeting with counsel and compliance, that the test is scheduled for Thursday." One of the agency lawyers leaned toward a microphone. "Mr. Mercer, did you personally direct the company to proceed with this version after receiving that warning?" Grant's confidence finally cracked. I would need to review the conversation. The lawyer closed his folder. "We will take a recess." The feed ended. For the next 2 hours, confusion spread through Halcyon. Grant called the board chairman. The board chairman called Maya. Finance executives began searching their records. Our lenders asked why the defense presentation had stopped. At 11:46, the audit committee suspended Grant pending an investigation. But the story was not finished. An examination of his email revealed that he had planned my removal before he even joined Halcyon. Months earlier, while advising one of our investors, Grant had received confidential summaries of Sentinel. He had promised the investor that he could take control of the technology narrative, remove overcautious technical gatekeepers, and accelerate the contract. I was the gatekeeper he meant. Investigators also found draft press releases calling Grant the creator of Sentinel. One was scheduled to publish the moment the meeting ended. Another announced a large performance bonus for him if the company reached a financing milestone tied to the contract. Then came the discovery that shocked even me. Grant had ordered a junior analyst to alter a test chart. The original graph showed the unresolved signal conflict. The altered graph removed those data points entirely. The analyst had refused and saved Grant's instructions. Now the board understood that this was not careless leadership. It was a pattern. Grant had stolen credit, concealed risk, pressured employees melt the agency, and attempted to use my professional reputation as a shield. By Friday, he was fired for cause. His bonus was canceled. The board referred its findings to the appropriate federal authorities and cooperated with the procurement review. I was not told every detail of that investigation, and I did not need to be. Justice did not require me to watch every door close behind him. The contract was paused, but it was not lost. Colonel Shaw gave Halcyon 30 days to correct its proposal, disclose the leadership change, and complete the final test under federal observation. Some board members wanted me to become interim chief technology officer immediately. I refused at first. "I will not accept a title just to repair your public image," I told them. "If you want me to lead, the engineers must have independent authority to stop unsafe claims. Compliance must report directly to the audit committee, and no executive may change validated technical results without a documented review." They agreed to every condition. On Thursday morning, My team returned to the desert test range. The sky was clear and the air was cold. Federal observers stood behind us while 2 drones crossed the horizon, and the test network created the exact signal conflict that had caused the fault. Sentinel detected the first drone, then the second. The screen held steady. No false warning appeared. We repeated the test 6 times. 6 times, the correction worked. When the final result appeared, nobody cheered at first. We simply stared at the screen, exhausted. Then my youngest engineer, Lewis, began clapping. The rest of us joined him. I thought about the previous 8 months, the late nights, failed prototypes, cold coffee, arguments, corrections, and quiet moments when we wondered whether the system would ever work. Grant had believed the work belonged to whoever stood beneath the brightest lights. He was wrong. The work belonged to the people who understood it, tested it, questioned it, and refused to lie about it. 6 weeks later, we returned to the same federal conference room. This time, my entire core engineering team sat beside me. I presented the strengths of Sentinel, but I also described the fault we had discovered and explained how we corrected it. I did not hide our mistake. I showed what we had learned from it. At the end, Colonel Shaw asked why the agency should trust Halcyon after what had happened. I answered honestly, "You should not trust us because of a polished presentation. You should trust only what we can prove, what independent observers can repeat, and what our people are willing to sign their names to." 3 months later, Halcyon won the contract. Not for the full amount Grant had promised, but for a carefully controlled first production phase with strict testing requirements. It was the right decision. My team received formal recognition and profit-sharing awards. Maya became Chief Ethics and Compliance Officer. The junior analyst who had refused to change the graph was promoted, and I became Chief Technology Officer under a contract that protected my authority to stop any release that failed safety or verification standards. As for Grant, I saw him only once more. We were leaving a hearing in Washington when he approached me in the hallway. His expensive suit was wrinkled, and the confidence in his eyes was gone. "You destroyed my career," he said. I looked at him for a long moment. "No, Grant. I documented what you did. You destroyed your career when you decided the truth was an obstacle." Then I walked away. For months, I had imagined revenge as a dramatic moment, a public humiliation, a slammed door, or a room full of people finally seeing him for what he was. But real revenge was quieter. It was my team returning to work without fear. It was an honest test result on a government screen. It was knowing that no soldier would depend on a system released before it was ready. And it was seeing my name on the final engineering report, beside the names of every person who had truly earned a place there. Grant tried to erase me from the room so he could own my work. In the end, my empty chair did not make him powerful. It became the evidence that brought him down. And that is the lesson I never forgot. A thief may steal your seat, your title, or even your applause. But if you protect the truth, he can never steal the ending.